Welcome to Fit Talk with Coach Luis. If you're serious about getting fit, then this is your show. This is a podcast where fitness enthusiasts share all the ups and downs, the challenges, and the victories on their fitness journey. Now, here's your host, Coach Luis.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Fit Talk with Coach Luis. And if you guys remember Erika Bogan, she had just recently given a shout out to her coaches out at Vitality about helping her out as much as they did, and I wanted to have her back because she has such a great inspirational story, and I told you she'd be back. So here she is, and welcome, Erika, to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be back recording with you. This is exciting stuff.
It is. I'm really excited because we got some really cool things to talk about, and the fact that you're also local, so I'll actually get to, meet you here pretty soon in person for the Open. So it's, a lot of good things. And I just want to really share with other people the amazing things that you and your team are doing. And so to get us started, can you give us a little bit of a background on, what you've done and how you got to the point to where you're at today?
Sure. So I start with, I have been a paraplegic since January 20th of 2002. I was injured because of domestic violence in a car accident. But I don't always think that it's as important now that it's been almost 18 years to really talk about what happened then to put me in a wheelchair, but rather what's happened in my life since then. I started getting involved in all kinds of different stuff in probably 2008, starting with the Miss Wheelchair North Carolina pageant and just kind of trying to, find a platform to be able to share my perspective and my message. And my message is always, again, it's not what happens to us in life, but rather how we respond to what's happening, our response to what's happening around us. And the way that we are able to change our response, I believe, is what kind of sets the course for where we end up. And I have been involved with all kinds of different adaptive sports, and all of the things that I've done have always been really, really outside of the box, starting with surfing. I've been surfing since 2008, and surfed competitively. I've surfed in the U.S. Open of Surfing. I've surfed in the WSA Championships in San Onofre, California. And then at the beginning of, 2016, I saw on social media, I saw another adaptive athlete who was in a CrossFit gym, and he was climbing a rope with his wheelchair attached to him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's super badass. I want to do that. Yeah. And so I kind of reached out to him and found out, what CrossFit was. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. My phone just rang.
Hey, we're doing an interview here, guys. No more phone calls for her, please.
And I just turned my ringer off. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, I kind of researched a little bit what CrossFit was, but still didn't really know, but was determined I was going to find somewhere with a rope that I could learn how to climb. Mm-hmm. And I went to a couple of different CrossFit boxes in the Charlotte area, and was actually turned away the first couple times. And then I found Vitality, and I rolled in there, and it just happened. My now coach, Amy Holland, was the one at the front desk. And she's like, can I help you? And long story short, I'm just like, hey, I want to do CrossFit. And she kind of looked at me and smiled real big. And was like, all right, let's talk. And I've been doing CrossFit ever since. There was a little period of time last year where I had to quit for a little while. And I realized really, really quickly what CrossFit did for me. And not just on a physical level, keeping me fit and healthy, but also, and I think more importantly, for mental health. I live with PTSD, actually specifically complex PTSD, which is a little crazy, and some anxiety disorders. And when I had to quit for a little while, my mental health wellness like really kind of spiraled out of control. And I couldn't at first figure out what the denominator was, like what was it that was different in my life that had caused me to kind of spiral downward. And I went to the gym with one of my friends to another gym, and just to train for a day. And when we were done, we had like a 45-minute WOD. And when we were done, we came out and I started crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. And not, again, necessarily physically, but mentally. And so I kind of figured out, like, for me personally, doing CrossFit has literally saved my life so many times without me realizing it until it was taken away. They always say you don't know what you got till it's gone. Mm-hmm. And so that was my kind of aha moment, and it also became my why. I have a lot of people in my network who also battle different mental health issues, and that are also mental health warriors and advocates. And throughout the last 3 years, I've lost a couple of them to suicide, and it just motivates me more to keep doing what I'm doing. And it's funny, I think I've said to you before that most people think that or assume that the reason that I do CrossFit and even the Spartan races that I started doing in April of this year, because I'm in a wheelchair, mm-hmm. but that's actually not why. It's for mental health reasons. And so anytime I do any competition or race, I always make sure to talk about my whys, and my whys are my friends that I've lost to suicide and to their mental health, battles. And just knowing that I'm still here and that I'm a voice, and that I can also be a light to so many other people who may be dealing with the same struggles, but don't have the courage to say, hey, I'm dealing with this, because of the negative stigma that's attached to mental health. A lot of times people don't want to talk about it. And I think that it's super important now more than ever to open up that conversation and be transparent with each other, because you never know who's battling the same war that you're battling inside of their head. And a lot of times, just hearing from somebody else, hey, I deal with the same thing, and it's okay. It's okay to be human, and it's okay to have these struggles. And it's also okay to talk about it. Can be and it can make a world of difference. It can be the game changer for somebody who may be on the verge of taking their own life.
Oh, for sure. And that's such a huge why to have. That's such a massive motivator, that's the reason why you're doing what you're doing, to let people know that it's okay, like you said, that they can see what you're doing, what you're dealing with, what you're going through, but you're out there talking about it and being that, in a sense, kind of like that person they can look up to help them also know that they're not by themselves. So, absolutely. And yeah. I know that's why you said you're part of the More Heart Than Scars not-for-profit. So yes. Tell me a little bit about that, like, so people don't know about it, that way they can hear more about that.
So as I just mentioned, in April of this year, I stumbled onto Spartan races, and it was completely by accident, just like CrossFit was. One of my friends, who's also a paraplegic, had reached out to me and was like, hey, have you ever thought of doing a Spartan race? And I always just say, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I do that without thinking and without knowing what I'm signing up for. And so I literally had a week. This was the weekend before I was going to run my first Spartan, that she asked me to do it. And it was going to be with the team that also helps her, because I think I said she's a paraplegic as well. Mm-hmm. And the team is called More Heart Than Scars. And it's actually a nonprofit 501c3 that was set up in 2013, I believe, after the Boston bombing. And it was set up to help those with physical, mental, or emotional scars, and just really to realize that they can live beyond those scars. And it's for people with, just like it says, more heart than scars in their loved ones, from trauma to disease to paralysis. It's, we all come together to transcend our visible and invisible scars. You know, I think it was Aristotle that said we are all more than the sum of our parts. And you know, so just really being able to be a part of this team has been life-changing in so many ways. You know, the first way is me doing the Spartan races. Without them, I wouldn't be able to complete these. Being a wheelchair user, you know, there's a lot of barriers and a lot of obstacles where I need somebody with legs to be able to help me get through it. And every single person on my team, just like the Spartan message, are there. We're all there helping each other get through not just the physical obstacles of the race, but also the mental ones that they bring on. And so everybody on my team has some sort of scar. I just happen to be the one whose scar is very visible, and that would be my wheelchair.
Right. So
I have now done since April, which was my very first Spartan. And I didn't start off small with a sprint because that wouldn't be my MO, right? I started off with an 8-mile super, and again, had no idea what I had signed up for. And right before finishing the last obstacle, which was like a 12-foot A-frame structure, I was like ugly crying the whole way up it and just exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically. And but when we jumped over that fire and got our medals and had accomplished it, it was like it relit my fire to keep fighting and to keep doing things that are outside of the box. And I saw how much it motivated other people, both on and off the course, just seeing me and my teammates complete a race. And it just became another integral part of my why.
It's so true. It's amazing how these races, you know, people just that haven't ever done it may not understand what actually goes into it emotionally and mentally, and of course physically. But it's like we were talking before we started this, it's, you know, you never, even if you go by yourself, you're never alone. You will start the race. There is never going to be a time where you're going to end that race without at least someone along the way helping you out that you've never met. And it doesn't matter. You're all there for the same thing. You're all there for the same purpose of getting through it, pushing through the pain, pushing through the mental stress of it, and getting through it and getting done. And it's true. Once you get that finish line, oh my goodness, it was
all worth it.
Yeah. You know, through it, you're like, oh my gosh, I paid for this. What the heck? And then
I voluntarily signed up to torture my body.
But
it's so similar though. Louise, it's so similar to what we do in CrossFit. You know, I have people all the time who aren't CrossFitters that are my friends that come to the gym just to watch me train, and they're like, you paid to do this? Like, this isn't fun, you know? And I'm like, yes, I do pay to do this. And no, it's not fun. It's brutal, but it fills my cup back up. Absolutely. And it reminds me, number one, I think most importantly, like, I'm glad I'm still here. I'm still alive. And that I could feel that pain and feel that sense of accomplishment that I feel after every single workout or every single race that we complete.
Absolutely. You know? There's nothing like it.
There isn't. And then on top of that, the community of people, both the CrossFit community and the Spartan community. I mean, I have met some of my closest friends through both of those circuits, and my whole support team is between those two communities. You know, those are the people that when I don't want to get out of bed, I know and go to the gym or get out of bed and go do a race, like I call them and they put their foot in my butt and are like, get up and do this, you know, and they're my biggest cheerleaders. And I think it's an amazing thing that we're able to motivate each other. Are you there still? Did I lose you?
No, okay. I don't know what that was.
I think it's.
You're too popular. Okay, guys, look, leave her alone for a few more minutes.
You know what it is? Is I'm getting text messages and they're coming to my iMac as we're talking.
Oh, yeah,
I have
that's
to
right.
turn that notification off. I'm like, and my phone's turned off, so where's that coming from?
Oh, that's funny.
Sorry about that.
That's them right now. They're like, hey, you're going to show up to the gym or what? What's going
Actually, it
on
is.
here?
It's so funny is that's actually my break, my leader, my team leader on More Heart Than Scars that's sending me stuff about our next race.
Oh, hey, well, if you want to give them a shout out here, you can.
Yeah. Hey, Joey, this is your shout out. You're interrupting our interview.
Oh, man. But thank you for actually proving that you're going to really, keep her on point. So thank you, Joey.
Yes. He always making sure I'm accountable. That's for sure.
I love it. And it's true. It's if we keep our environment surrounded with the people that have the same mindset, it'll push us to not fail, and being that we have these massive, we're so fortunate to have this, with what Joe DeCina created with the Spartan. This didn't exist, years ago. This wasn't even an option. So
Right.
now that people have the option to do this, so many more are joining it and seeing that, hey, it's okay if I have these issues. I can go here and just come together with a group of people that understand that life is hard. So, let's come together and let's work through something together. And that'll actually help us outside of the races to tackle life's obstacles even better, even more head on because of that also.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you said just a few minutes ago about the Spartan community and, knowing that even if you're never going to be alone, somebody's always going to be there with you no matter what pace you're going at. And that's so, so true. Like we have came across people on the course who were like literally sitting down and just crying and ready to be defeated.
Mm-hmm.
And they see us coming and me in my wheelchair and, we stop and we're like, hey, like, can we help you?
Mm-hmm.
And they automatically are just like, I'm just done. I'm done. I don't think I can make it. And they see me in my wheelchair and my team that's helping me. And we're like, come on, like, we'll help you. We're going to finish this together. Mm-hmm. And they get up and they end up finishing. And that's such a beautiful thing, and there's other instances where I'm struggling or me and my teammates are struggling in an obstacle. And the next thing I know, there's a hand there and it's a total stranger. And he's like, here, give me your hand. I've got you.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. Like, I think we need more of that in our everyday world, not just on Spartan races and in the CrossFit community. I mean, just every day that's a big lesson for all of us to learn is just to lend that hand, whether it's a stranger or not, just being there and kind of embracing that humanity.
Absolutely. Just be kind. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult.
It's not. And it's so rewarding for both people.
It is.
So
it
why not?
is. Yep. Yeah. So I know we talked a little bit about it before. What is your favorite inspirational moment you had?
My favorite inspirational moment. Oh gosh, there's been so many.
I'm sure.
I would say like an inspirational moment that has happened to me or something that somebody else has done that inspired me.
Well, I love the one that you told me about the vet at the Spartan race. That was
actually the one I was going to use.
Oh, perfect. I love that one. Please. I would love for people to hear that one.
So actually I just did another super Spartan race in Atlanta this last Saturday, October 5th. And after the race, I had seen a guy, he was kind of lingering around in the festival area, and there was a lot of people around me talking to me and asking me questions, and he kind of was being really patient and I could tell he was waiting to talk to me. And so when everybody kind of walked away from me, he came over and he knelt down on his knee, and he just said, he's like, I have to talk to you. And he's like, I have to thank you for what you and your team are doing. He was like, you just really, really inspired me. And he started to tell me that he was a vet, and he had a pretty severe case of combat PTSD. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, the year after he got out of the military, his wife passed away unexpectedly and left him a single father. And he said, with you, he said, you can see your scars, you can see your disability. He said, with me, I have PTSD. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of smiled at him and I said, a lot of people think that the reason I do this and which is a totally justifiable assumption, is because I'm in a wheelchair. And I kind of, just kept smiling at him, and he's got tears in his eyes. And I just said to him, I said that actually, I said, I have some invisible scars too. And I told him, I live with complex PTSD, and told him how I got paralyzed. And I said, it's definitely been a huge struggle for me, more mentally and emotionally than physically. And I said, so I totally understand. And by that point, he had really let his guard down, and you can see the emotion in his face. And he was just like, I would give anything to help you and your team get through one of these races. And he shared with me that the whole reason that he fell into Spartan was because he got into a very dark space and was dealing with some suicidal ideation. Yeah. And one of his friends reached out to him, and he happened to be in that dark place, and he was like, man, you couldn't have called me at a better time. I just need somebody to talk to. And his friend's like, hey, why don't you come do a Spartan race with me tomorrow? He's like, I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. I just want you to come with me. Mm-hmm. And the guy, his name is Mike, he was like, why would I want to do a Spartan race? And he was like, I don't think that's the answer to, I think I just need you to listen to me. And he was like, no, he was like, I'll listen to you, but you need to come do this race with me. And he said, Erika, he said, after I did my first Spartan, he's like, I was hooked, because it did the same thing for him that I was explaining to you. It filled his cup back up, mm-hmm. and it pushed him to his limits. And it pushed his body physically, emotionally, mentally. And he's like, now he's like, I'm addicted. And so he was asking, when's your next race? He's like, I'd love to do another one. And I'm like, well, you're in luck. We're doing the Beast. We're doing the Carolinas Beast, November 24th. Yep. And he's like, oh my gosh, get out of here. I'm already signed up for that race. Like, I was already planning on running it. He's like, can I run it with you guys? And I'm like, absolutely. So awesome. Like, we would love to have you on our team, So now he's going to be running the Beast with us. And it just goes to show you, like, you never know in that course who's watching. Just like with every day in life, you never know who's watching. You never know who you're empowering by stepping outside of the box and doing things that you might not have thought you'd be able to do.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so happy about that not-for-profit More Heart Than Scars that you told me about, because they're there to help. That's all they're there for. And again, if now you were able to spread that word to that guy, you're able to help. You said Mike, right?
Yeah, his name's Mike.
You were able to help Mike in that sense too, because of what he saw. So you impacted him, and then again, we don't even know who saw that conversation going to even inspire them to do better, and so on. It's like a domino effect. So it's just spreading the love of wellness, and that is what it's all about. And now you got a new team member. So I mean, it's awesome.
And a friend for life.
Yes.
I mean, he just hearing his story, and I'm an empath, and so I mean, listening to his story like got me emotional, and I'm just like, oh my word, I want this man in my life. Like, I want him as my friend, and I want to be able to help empower him, and I know that he'll continue to empower me just by being a part of my circle, know, and it's just a beautiful thing. And had it not been for being out on the course that day, that moment might not have ever happened. Exactly. And so again, that's my why. That's what keeps me doing these. It's what keeps me brutalizing my body. And
remember you told me you were still recovering from the weekend, because that was a tough weekend. So
yeah, it's funny, I was supposed to train this morning with Amy, and I texted her last night, and I'm like, Amy, I think it's probably a good idea for me to sit out tomorrow, because I can barely put my hair back in a ponytail right now. Like, my arms are just done.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she's like, no problem, see you on Thursday. So we're going to go light this week. And I did skip out, which I hate skipping training, but I know that I have to listen to my body at the same time, because
exactly, it's all that
I don't want Uncle Rhabdo or anything else crazy that could happen. So
exactly. So being that this pushes you to do more and more and more, what is the next big thing for you?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because I'm like super excited to be talking about this. And I actually, this is the platform that's first putting this out there, because I have not officially announced it on social media. So I've been saving it, knowing that I was doing this interview with you.
Well, I appreciate it. Very, very
Yes,
honored for that.
absolutely. I appreciate what you do for our community. Like it's a beautiful thing.
Thank
So
you.
I am going to be September 13th through the 20th, and I'm already training pretty heavy, and this is part of the reason I'm doing so many Spartan races. I am training to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in September of 2020 with my team, with More Heart Than Scars.
That
Um,
is amazing.
She's so unbelievably exciting. It's going to take us about 7 days, but that's really just because of the altitude. Just doing it as slow as possible to allow ourselves to acclimate. Because the number one thing out of the thousands of people that attempt to reach the summit of Kilimanjaro a year, and there are thousands that do it, less than half of them actually make it to the summit, and it's because they do it too quickly, and they end up with altitude sickness, which can be deadly. I think the statistics are there's about 10 people a year, approximately 10 people a year that die trying to make it to the summit of Kilimanjaro, and it's just the altitude that ends up not mixing well with their bodies and ultimately killing them. And also, not being as prepared. And so we're really going into this with a lot of research and a lot of preparation. And I have a couple other para athletes that are my good friends that have done it before me. And so I'm just really reaching out to them for, advice and what to expect. And just bought my very first altitude training mask, which is something
Nice.
I never thought that I would ever be buying. I didn't even know it existed until this came about. But what it does is it's a mask that you wear that actually restricts the oxygen that you're breathing in to help your body get used to what it would be like at high altitudes. And so I will be wearing that in the Beast in November, and I'll also be wearing it in the CrossFit gym, training with my Amy.
Awesome. Which I look forward to seeing you there next week. So
Yes,
looking forward to that.
I'll be there.
So that is an amazing feat, though, that you're preparing yourself for, that you and your team are preparing yourselves for.
Yeah. It's pretty spectacular. Like I definitely, almost 18 years ago when I got paralyzed, I never, ever, ever would have imagined that I would ever have even half of the opportunities that I've had in the last almost 18 years. But I definitely would have never imagined that I would even have the desire to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So it's pretty exciting for so many reasons, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I think that, again, just like with CrossFit and the Spartan races, they automatically assume that it's because I'm a wheelchair athlete. And, so I've had a couple people reach out to me. They're like, you're not the first paraplegic, female to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to bring awareness to mental health and suicide prevention. And I'm doing it for my friends that are no longer here and that got tired and couldn't make it through the struggle anymore. I'm doing it for them. And I'm hopefully going to be able to really, really, really raise awareness and help other people through this, help other people see that it's okay. Again, like I said earlier, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to have, it's okay to have mental health issues. And, everybody's life experiences is different. And I believe that everybody deals with some sort of trauma throughout their lifetime. And I think that more people carry scars than they realize.
Absolutely. And I think we just learn to bury them and not really talk to them. And that's obviously the worst thing we can do. And
Absolutely.
And the fact that, again, that there's more awareness if it is needed. So I'm so happy that you're doing this, because it's going to let a lot of people understand that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And then the more help they get, the better. It's only a win-win. You become stronger by talking about it and working through it. And that's really the best way to do it.
And that's my desire, is, in doing this and talking about it, because I'm going to be blogging the whole entire journey to the summit and back down. I'm going to be, recording this and actually writing a book around it, and just really, really trying to open up that space to allow people to say, you know what, I'm going through the same thing. And if she can get through it, I can get through it. And I don't want to be another one of the statistics, you know, and I want to live and I want to get help, you know, whatever that means, because for everybody it's different. But if I can inspire one person to get themselves healthy, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally, then it's all going to be worth it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what books are you into right now that are helping you either with coping that you think would help someone else that's listening?
That is a really, really good question. So one of my favorite authors who I have been reading since about January of this year, I've read a couple of her books, is Brene Brown. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's just an amazing author. She's actually has a PhD, and she specializes in mental health. And the book that I'm currently reading right now is called The Gifts of Imperfection.
Oh, I like that.
And yeah, it's a really, really eye-opening book. You know, it's helped me be able to kind of let go of who I thought I was supposed to be. Because I believe that society and even the limited beliefs that we learn from our parents, our grandparents, the people that we come in contact in our life as we're developing and growing, you know, there's certain things like you're supposed to be married by this age, you're supposed to, you know, go to college and then get married and have a baby. And, you know, I don't believe that that's true, you know, but there's a lot of times I think that there's more people than not that deal with that and don't realize that they're trying to live somebody else's vision for their life, rather than forming their own vision for what they want and embracing who they really are. And embracing who you really are means also embracing your own imperfections, I'm sorry. Because I believe that our imperfections are also our gifts. And again, that I guess kind of goes back to my message when I speak as a motivator is, you know, that a lot of times the things that we're perceiving, and it causes us to respond a certain way. And when they're negative things, a lot of times we respond to them in a negative way, which just causes a snowball effect where everything just feels negative. And it's all about our perception and how we're choosing to look at things. You know, for instance, my biggest example is when I got paralyzed. You know, for the first probably 4 or 5 years, I struggled. I was not the same person that you're talking to today. And, you know, all I could look at and hold on to was what had already happened that I couldn't change. You know, I couldn't let go and fully accept that this was going to be my life, that I was not going to walk, and that I was going to be a full-time wheelchair user. And I held on to my able-bodied life and kept reliving that and going back. And that did absolutely nothing but make me feel miserable, which also in turn made me miserable on the outside. And I slowly started learning through my own research and reading and just really educating myself that was part of my PTSD. And that the only person that could change my life in the way I felt was myself, because I'm a firm believer our thoughts create our reality. And as long as I kept thinking of everything being negative and it being this tragic, you know, part of my life, then that was exactly what it was going to be. It was going to be a tragedy because that was the way I was thinking of it. But as soon as I started changing my way of thinking and flipping it and finding the silver lining, no matter how small it was, my whole world started to change. You know, something as small as learning how to make the bed while sitting in it.
Right.
That was a huge victory for me. And for other people around me, they were like, okay, yay, you learned how to make the bed. Like, that's great. It wasn't that big of a deal, but to me, it was a huge defeat. Right. And starting to see like, wow, yeah, I'm not going to be able to make the bed like I used to and as quickly as I used to do it, but I can do it a different way. And
Mhm.
the more and more I do it every day, just like everything else in life, the more I do it, the more I practice, the faster I'm going to get. And now I make my bed every morning as soon as I get out of my bed, and it takes me maybe 3 seconds,
Mhm.
you know, and I no longer have to do it sitting in it. I adapted and I learned how to do it for my wheelchair.
Yep.
You know, little things that I started realizing, again, if I flip the script in my head and made it positive, even if it was something as small as you saying to myself, you know what, it might take me 10 minutes to make my bed this morning and it's going to be physically exhausting, but at least I woke up and I have the opportunity to make my bed.
Yes, exactly. So it's looking at the positive side
Yeah.
of things versus just, the negatives. And like you said, that may seem like a small feat for other people, but just like you said, some people have a struggle just getting out of bed.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
mean, looking at things in that perspective and always looking at the positive outcome, then we will live a more positive life versus just being miserable with every single thing or that surrounds us. Then yes, we'll be miserable every single day.
Yeah, if we're thinking miserable negative thoughts, and that's exactly how we're going to feel. You know,
Absolutely.
our brain is a muscle, and just like any other muscle in our body, the more that you practice and the more that you use it and you train to do something different, the
Mhm.
easier it's going to become, and then eventually it becomes a habit. And so I guess my habit that I formed in doing that was being internally optimistic,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not easy all the time. And you know, I am human and I do have my days where I don't want to get out of bed.
Mhm.
And on those days I've learned that it's okay to be human, and it's okay to have a day and not get out of bed. But what's not okay is staying in that space and unpacking and living there.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's where the training of my brain and becoming an internal optimist and learning how to flip the script in my own dialogue and my brain has really helped me a lot. And so I do have days where I don't want to get out of bed, where everything in the world is like my enemy, I feel like, and sometimes it's my own body that I feel like is working against me.
Mhm.
And I just breathe, and sometimes I'll do something as simple as meditating
Mhm.
and just come back to a better space and say, you know, it's okay. This is my body's way of telling me that I need a day to not do anything, but just
Right.
concentrate on loving me
Mhm. It's
and taking care of me. And if that means eating ice cream, Amy, you didn't hear this if you're listening, but eating Ben and Jerry's in my bed while watching the Oprah Network, then dang it, that's what I'm going to do, because that's what my body needs. And that's okay, because again, I'm human.
But you're
And
so right, Erica. That's exactly correct. It's the whole point of understanding how you're feeling, the emotions, letting them come in, dealing with
feeling them.
them, working through
Yeah,
them, but not staying there. Because that is,
absolutely.
I have said that so much that it's not, you're not, don't block those feelings, don't block those emotions, because that's literally part of your body, of your system trying to tell you something.
Yes.
So, acknowledge it, welcome it, but then don't stay there. Move forward and change your mindset. Meditation is fantastic. There's so
Yes.
many different ways of doing it, of course, but as long as it's, you're just kind of being at the moment,
Being still.
just right, just being there, breathing. I mean, if you just focus on your breathing alone and you concentrate on the fact that you're breathing and acknowledging that alone is a stress reliever.
Yes.
So, I mean, journaling is what works for me. I do that. It's helped me a lot through a lot of things that I've been dealing with recently. And
Yeah.
again, it's whatever works for you. Try it,
Yeah,
and just
journaling is another big tool that I use as well. I mean, when there's days where I can't get my brain to stop and I might not be able to just concentrate on my breaths, that's when I know that I have a lot going on in my brain and I need to release it. And for
right.
me, I don't know about you, but for me, writing it
Oh yeah.
is what helps me release it. And then usually I can meditate. Um,
Exactly. It's like your mind's too cluttered to be able to do any type of meditating. So
yeah.
it's just like write it down. That way it's out. You can have it there, and then you can do that.
Well,
Absolutely.
and another thing that's helped me, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but I do what's called a gratitude journal.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I have some friends that actually came up with what's called the 5-minute journal.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used it for years now, and my kids all use it as well, which is pretty cool. but the 5-minute journal is just a gratitude journal, and it's just really simple. What are 3 things that I'm grateful for, and what are 3 things that could make this day amazing?
Yep.
And you do that as soon as you wake up, and then you do it again before you go to bed. Okay, what were 3 things that made today great, and what were 3 things that I could have changed, and what are some goals for tomorrow?
Yep.
And just being able to kind of reflect and be in the moment and be grateful for, sometimes it's the simplest thing. Like today, my number one thing that I was grateful for is that it's not 98 degrees outside here in Charlotte.
I know. Yeah, it's true.
It is no longer July 71st in Charlotte.
I know, it's retarded. And it's so funny that I'm glad you pointed that out, because it doesn't have to be, some deep, mind-blowing type thing you're grateful for. It could be I posted today, I was grateful because when I was driving to work, the sun was just rising and it was beautiful. It was like a reddish color, and I was like, that's what I'm grateful for right now. And that was enough. It doesn't have to be
beautiful. I just got chill bumps when you said that, because it doesn't have to be. I was just recently teaching one of my friends how to meditate, because he's like, I can't meditate. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I'm like, well, number one, you can't do it because you're telling yourself you can't do it.
There you go.
So,
negative mindset.
Number 2, you can do it. It's as simple as just trying to count breaths. And if you can only get to 3, that's okay. Start over. The more you do it, just like with anything else in your brain, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. But taking that time to just be, and just be still and be in the moment is so important, and not enough people do it.
Exactly. I love that. Those are such fantastic pointers. If you're hearing this and you got some good pointers here, definitely pause it, go back a little bit and write down those few pointers, because they're fantastic, really good life lessons for us to use. And okay, so tell me, what are your top 3 songs when you're working out to keep you motivated?
Okay. Yes, definitely. So I am a huge Jay-Z and Kendrick Lamar fan.
All right, nice.
And so right now, my workout songs, I know, and they're older songs, but they're ones that just really, really get me going. So my top 2 are actually from the Black album, Jay-Z's Black album. And it's Moment of Clarity and My First Song. And then my third one is Kendrick Lamar's song off of his Damn album, and it's called God. And it's, for me, it's more, so I'm a very, I love lyrics, and those songs just really, really resonate with me and my life experiences. But the Kendrick Lamar song, when the beat drops on that song, it just does something to me. But it just gets me really, really motivated. And so those are my 3 top on my playlist right now for when I'm working out. And it's super cool, because in our gym, I don't have to wear headphones like they always have. Well, depending on what coaches are training, they always have different music playing in the gym. And I've been really lucky, like the last couple of weeks, that those songs have actually came up. Edited, obviously, because
of course.
we have young people in our gym too. But it's just really, really cool. But yeah, those are the ones. So I have a routine, and getting my mind right, I guess, before I go to the gym. The first thing that I do, besides drink my protein shake, my pre-workout shake, is I turn those songs on in the car, so that if I don't hear them in the gym, I already have them in my head.
Right.
And they just really motivate.
It already gets you in the mood to lift some iron. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like those. I'll check those out. Maybe I'll drop those in my gym playlist.
Yeah, I have to check them out.
Yeah.
So with Jay-Z, like I said, I have been like the biggest Jay-Z fan since 1996. And I have followed him and watched him grow and build this empire that he has, and come from absolutely nothing to something. And there's just a lot about his life that I can relate to in my own life. And so I think that's a lot of why I'm such a huge fan of his.
Yeah, absolutely. It really has. All right, so here's my last question to you, and everyone tells me it's a bomb always. So what message would you want to send out to anyone that's listening right now?
So my message that I want to send out to anybody that's listening right now is, if you are going through any kind of mental or emotional struggle, reach out to somebody. And if you don't have anybody to reach out to me. I actually have a website, and I have a form on my website that anybody can message me through. It comes directly to my personal email and my personal cell phone. And my website is erikabogan.com, ERIKABOGAN.com. But I'm here, like, there's somebody that does care. And I think that we're all faced with different struggles in life, because that's what helps us grow. And just remember that you definitely grow through what you go through, and not to give up, because there's a purpose behind every single thing that happens to us in life, even if we don't understand it when it's happening.
Absolutely.
Don't give up.
I love it. I love your motto that it's not what happens in life, but how we respond to it. That is such a true statement, because we cannot control what happens.
We can't
at all. There's so little we can control in this universe that it's not even funny. All we can control is how we react to those situations.
Absolutely. And I think that we all get to a place in life, and some people never grow out of it, where they want to control everything that's happening in their life, or when something, catastrophic happens, they're like, it just totally makes them spiral and kind of give up. And, instead of looking at it and going, okay, I can't find a reason why this happened, rather than thinking of it that way, just going, okay, you know what, this happened, and now I'm going to work through this.
Right.
And, but just never stop, never give up, never stop going.
Exactly. That's excellent. I love it. Oh, give me your IG handle for anyone that wants to see your journey and the amazing things you're doing. I mean, you have the Atlanta Super you did up there already posted, and more stuff to come, of course. But can you share that with everybody?
Yes. So my IG handle is Erika Bogan. My name, ERIKABOGAN.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And again, guys, check out also More Heart Than Scars. It's a fantastic non-for-profit.
And they're actually on Instagram as well.
Yes. It's More Hearts Than Scars official, right?
Correct.
Yeah. See?
I love it.
Yeah. And there's just, again, it's just about more awareness and letting people know what help there really is out there. And just like Erika said, reach out to her, myself, of course. And if we can't help you for whatever reason, we'll help you find someone that can help you.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Erika, for being on today and sharing your amazing story, your journey that has just begun and is only going to get better, and how much you're inspiring people. Thank you for that too.
Yes, thank you so much for what you're doing for our community and for inviting me to have this opportunity with you. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. All right, guys, stay tuned for the next one, and thank you for listening as always. Bye.
Thanks for checking out Fit Talk with Coach Luis. Remember to follow us on social media, on Instagram at Live2Progress and on Twitter at Live2Progress. Stay tuned for more episodes of Fit Talk with Coach Luis coming soon. And remember, always live to progress.